So before I get started today, I wanted to bring to your attention that at the very end of that video, the last video I did, right at the end of it, you can hear something from the other side trying to talk through. Now, whether that was my father or who or what it was, I don't know. I listened to it probably 50 times, um, trying to really hear and see what was said. Was actually quite interesting. So you might want to check that out. But today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a few more things that had taken place over the last 10 years in the sense of things that I was trying to do. And I was trying to create a new organization. And that was right at the time of doing the whiteboard talks and the book being delisted. Um, Things were going really good with the book. It was a bestseller. Everything was kind of evolving. So I was adding to what I wanted to do, what I wanted to accomplish. And one of the things that I had done was started a traveling group of near death experiencers called One Day. Globally, there's two other organizations, which I'm not going to name right now. I don't know that I ever will, but I think if you followed along with the near death experiences, you know the two organizations I'm talking about. The organization I was trying to create was called One Day and it was named One Day because each and every one of us, one day, we're going to die. And that's a fact that we can't escape. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to, no, 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 not for me, not for me. I don't want to deal with it. Yet I've seen, because I've talked, I've been on stage, I've talked to large groups, I've talked to small groups, I've talked to individuals since my near death experience. I've seen people heal up in a minute when they are around people who have had near death experiences. It's just because we're different. We're very different than the average person. People gravitate to us. Can kind of pick them out in a crowd. And I'm saying that from my own experience and the individual that I've become because of it, because of my near death experience. Now, One Day was it was going to be owned by near death experiencers. It was going to be run and organized by near death experiencers. And it was going to be near death experiencers that were going to be on stages everywhere. I mean, the first two talks that we were going to give, and I was going to have, I think, about 12, maybe more, near death experiences. Our first show was scheduled for Boston. Yeah, we were going to be in Boston. And then I had a very large venue in New York City done, but that was 2016. That was 10 years ago. I had lots of people lined up. I've talked to some of the largest names in, yes, the industry. That's a shady, dark word, but it's true. It is an industry. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to have a way for people to sit and listen to near-death experiencers in a comfortable situation or atmosphere, and then be able to spend time directly with them because I witnessed the healing effects of it, and it was crazy, absolutely crazy. It was shocking to me because people came after me. People came after my setting it up, and in one foul swoop, killed it, killed the whole thing. So that was quite a shock. But that happened all around the same time. Book delisted, and one thing after another kind of fell. So it was kind of crazy. I did still go on to talking, got down to doing more one-on-one stuff with people, individuals, and I kind of like that, though I still like the idea of talking to groups. One time I went and I did a talk I think I was supposed to talk for like half an hour, and I didn't stop for 3 hours. I didn't stop for 3 hours, and it was like an old mansion, a house, in a friend of mine's place, Sherry, who lives maybe half an hour, 45 minutes away from here, and I'd done it in it was like an old mansion. But anyway, that whole thing of just putting the information out and trying to organize new things. The organizations that came after me were corporate, and I had secret emails dropped to me from people on boards of those people that had left the boards of those organizations and told me exactly what was going on. And it's not that I was on a hit list or anything like that, but they were really curious as to what I was trying to do. And I got a funny feeling that they felt threatened and put an end to it. Yeah. One day was all about things. So about that one day that we all come to. And one day also stood for the near death experience where one day we all die. What came And I think what I should do is just a real short recap of my own near death experience. This channel, Lessons for Life from an NDE, is more about the teaching, the things that are important that each one of us near death experiencers learned from it. There's so many channels out there that the stories, people are caught up with the stories. But what good is it if the lessons, Peter Panagore, a friend of mine, I haven't talked to him in a serious long time, I know, but I think that I could still call him a friend. We talked a lot about things, and he talks about the important aspects of what the NDE taught him and how he became different. So this channel of mine is really all about that learning, the lessons that we learn, the most important things that literally there's no other way to learn about them unless you die. And that's the whole conundrum about life. We learn to be the way we are meant to always be in the last 3 minutes of our life. And we have a big, serious change of heart, you know, in that last couple of minutes. It's not really, I don't want to get into the last few moments right now. We'll do a whole video on that one later. Actually, you know what? I'm going to back up for a minute and do the recap of my own near death experience. February, it would my near death experience happened on February 26th, 2010, and it was like 9:25 in the morning is actually when I died. But I've been having a heart attack for 3 days without even knowing it. I was in extreme pain, not sleeping much, couldn't really eat or drink much, which exacerbated the whole situation. Of course, I just didn't know. My life situation at the time was pretty bad. It was pretty rough, which we all fall into, and it happens to more people than I, I even want to think about. Unfortunately, it was the end of February, so it was very, very cold. The worst snowstorm of the season. Streets were all just empty, no people, filled with snow, blowing winds, cold, no people out walking, no businesses really open, except for the little convenience store around the corner from where I lived. But I had 6 blocks. I had 6 blocks to walk in the snow just to get to the bus stop so that I could catch the bus and then go to work. Looking back at it, I really I don't know how the hell I made it from where I lived to the bus stop. The snow was up to my knees. My chest was like a dump truck was sitting on it. And it was kind of excruciating, but it had a lot to do with the mental consciousness and emotional state that I was going through. Not that it wasn't handled, you know, unmanageable because I did manage it. Did I die? Yes. That doesn't mean that it wasn't being managed. That last hour or so of our life when we do die, and people that have passed away has a very large variety as to what happens from individual to individual. Anyway, mine indeed kind of happened that way, and I got down to the bus stop, and the bus showed up late, and I walked onto the bus to put the change in the holder, and I sat down right behind the bus driver. Man, it only took like a couple of minutes, and I was gone. But just before, I mean, right before, I asked the bus driver who I met her eyes up in the mirror. That's how we made eye contact, was in her mirror that sat looking down the aisle. She looked at me and I just looked up and I asked her to call 911. She said, "Why?" So I said, "Well, I'm having a heart attack." And the funny thing is I didn't know, but I did know. I knew for some reason, somehow. And it's probably the recognition that partially saved my life. So anyway, that's kind of what happened. The finer details, that's pretty much how it happened. The real fine details we'll get into at another point in time, especially when I do read the book itself in a video of its own. That first chapter is all about the moment to moment things that took place, and we'll look after that then. Death is not a nice thing, but it's not a bad thing either. It is actually part of our life. It is an event that takes place in our life. And I know that's going to be hard for some people to swallow, but it's the truth. It's the biggest event of our life. And a lot of people don't want to deal with that event. So it makes it tough. And I don't want this channel to become just about near death experience stories. I'm going to focus on teaching you the lessons that are vitally important that we've all gotten wrong. Yes, that we've all gotten wrong since day one. And that's because this all seems physical. Doesn't matter what. And when you start and understand a few things, such as we're soul being, but to participate, that is non-physical. So the soul being is a non-physical thing. And to participate in physical reality, to learn additional lessons, we have this vehicle, this car, and we have so much to learn. I have so much to teach, and this video is far too long once again. So I'm going to say bye for now, and take care of yourselves and each other.